I'm not going to be in a relationship with anyone, whether they give me the moon or the stars, and not have a child.
Whoever said that they wasn't having a child? I have been very consistent since the time I met you up until now with everything.
After the doctor's visit, everything shouldn't be consistent. That should have been a shift. It shows me that what Dr. Marabli told me about my results, you disregarded it completely and it means nothing to you.
Hello my friends, my heart is beating irregularly at the very thought of Bilal's shenanigans, and I don't even have a dog in this fight. Yes, that's right, I'm talking once again Bilal and Shaeeda. And so before I begin, I just want to say a very happy new year to all of my subscribers. I hope you had a good one, and I wish you all the prosperity in the world for 2023, and I genuinely hope it brings you all that you wish for. Just to let you know, I did actually do this review before the tell-all came out. But I was so busy over the Christmas period, I didn't have time to edit it and get it out, but I thought I'd drop it anyway. And so tomorrow, I'll be dropping the first episode of the tell-all, so guys, stay tuned for that. Occasionally, there comes a time in one's life when one is duty-bound to step up to the plate. Sometimes, it's incumbent upon us to make a stand for what we believe in, and to bring those whose behaviour falls below standards that we have all set for society to follow, to be brought to book for their despicable misdeeds. If not now, when? And if not me, then who? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's right, today it falls to me to roast the dog crap out of Bilal. Guys, he's pushed me to it. I feel I have no other viable choice. And so Bilal is a self-styled entrepreneur and property developer from the US of A, and a year ago he married Shaeeda, who's a yoga instructor and influencer from Trinidad, and we've all been watching how their relationship unfurls via 90 Day Fiance. For any of you who haven't seen this series or yet met Bilal, a word of warning, he's a very unpleasant little weasel. And so for the whole of last season and most of this season, old Weasel Eyes has been running Shaeeda ragged. They met and had a whirlwind romance, and before they got married, both parties agreed, in fact in writing, that they were going to start a family, and now it would seem Bilal is, how can we say, dragging his heels. In fact, at this point, he's less of a husband and more of a nemesis. But Bilal sees no wrong in anything he does. In fact, he's quite the unrepentant sociopath. He believes himself to be of superior intelligence, and so he gaslights Shaeeda at will. He further believes he can pull the wool over, well, the viewers and the world at large, all of our eyes. And it's more than fair to suggest that his view of himself is literally riddled with inaccuracies. But guys, you don't need to take my word for it. I'm going to break it all down and present to you the case for Bilal being a lying little sociopath. But before I do, guys, I just want to say thank you. I got so much love for my very last video, The Real Truth About Kim and Sojaboy. And so many of you subscribed to me and joined the Ebird family, and I want to say a massive, heartfelt thanks. But if you've yet to do so, or if you're sitting on the fence, please consider smashing that big red button marked subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. And also, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks guys. Right, so without further ado, I give you Bilal, the unrepentant sociopath. Oh, and I nearly forgot, Shaeeda as well. So we begin this week with Bilal and Shaeeda, and they're still in New York. And as we know, last episode Bilal took Shaeeda on a helicopter ride, and he tells us all earnestly he wanted to do something nice for her, and for her to tick something off her bucket list. I think the main thing she wants to tick off Bilal is having a child. She's not going to swap a baby for a 15-minute bloody ride by helicopter over New York. And this is the main problem with Bilal. He wants to show us all how much he's doing for Shaeeda. He never fails to remind us, the public, just how much he does. And at the end of the helicopter ride, Bilal's grinning like a Cheshire cat. Shaeeda tells him that she really enjoyed the ride and that it was magical. However, she wants a definite answer to when they can start having a child. Bilal's face falls, and she continues that if it's 3, 6 or 9 months, she can deal with it, but she doesn't want to wait a year because, as we know, her doctor has told her her fertility is compromised and she doesn't have many eggs left, and a year may well be too late. And then Bilal starts with his gaslighting, and so he tells her, "You're giving me an ultimatum. I do an awful lot for you, but what have you done for me?" Bilal, you haven't done an awful lot for her. She's moved into your house in America, and you gave her the most budget of weddings in your dining room. which she had to decorate herself. And there were only a very few people in attendance. And guys, if Bilal actually has any real friends, which I doubt, they managed to mark the happy occasion by staying away. They didn't go. Shaeeda had her cousin and I think one of her friends, but it really was the most frugal of affairs. But guys, I can't believe that he's asked her, what does she do for him? I can answer. She makes him pop. He loves having the eye candy that is Shaeeda on his arm. She's giving him the chance to be on this TLC show. And she's also helping him build his social media profile. You want more? I'll tell you what else she does. She delivers to the public narratives that Bilal wants to say, but he doesn't have the bollocks to say. And here's example number 1. This example comes from Showbiz Cheat Sheet, and I'll link the details to the article below. And this was when fans were, quite rightly, calling Bilal a narcissist. Guys, that's the very least of what he is. And she said, for as long as I've known Bilal, he's been a very sweet, caring, sensitive, kind-hearted soul who gives me whatever I want, and I'll do the same for him. No, he is not a narcissist, and no, he is not controlling just because he's Muslim. And then she revealed that she thinks society vilifies Bilal for being a black Muslim. And she said, because perception is reality, we've been conditioned to perceive a black man as scared, illiterate, deadbeat, dependent and struggling. If that's not what we see, then yes, he has to be a narcissist. So let's destroy him and humble him to remind him of what he has to be. Stop trying to defame him with perceptions. And so guys, this made me laugh because it clearly came from Bilal. Shaeeda is from Trinidad, and the majority of the population is black or Asian. And according to recent census information, less than 1% of people are white. And there isn't the same narrative that we supposedly see black men as scared, illiterate, deadbeat, dependent and struggling. If that is a stereotype, which I don't necessarily myself agree with, but if that is a stereotype, it's one that's born of America and Western countries where black people are the minority. Certainly not Trinidad. So this comes directly from the mouth of Bilal. But he's too much of a scared little weasel to say it himself. Bilal, that's just one more thing that Shaeeda does for you. She acts as your mouthpiece and protector in chief. Shaeeda pumps nutrients into your desiccated life. So later on that day, Shaeeda lets production know that best friend Utrice gave her the confidence to say, I'm not waiting for a baby any longer. And that's why she decided to bring it up with Bilal. So later when she meets with Utrice to say goodbye to her, and Utrice once more proves she's a clown by saying to Shaeeda that Bilal said he'd welcome a child if it happened. Utrice, he did not say that. You said, but if a child happened then you'd be okay? And Bilal did his usual and skirted round it. He most certainly did not say that. And Shaeeda confirmed this by saying he'd refused to give her an answer yet again. And then she tells Utrice that he uses birth control. And Utrice is surprised. Me too to some extent, because Shaeeda said before that they'd had a few oopses. How can you have oopses when he's using condoms and you're on the pill? Shaeeda then confirmed that she would choose having a baby over the marriage. I mean, the truth be told, the marriage would end anyway, as she would be so bitter over the loss of the opportunity of motherhood that I think their marriage together would be unbearable. And so the day before they leave New York, they're on the Brooklyn Bridge, and Shaeeda tells Bilal, if I hold back, I'll be doing myself a great injustice. I need you to know how important this is to me. And Bilal said, I would like to have a child with you, but I want to build a foundation, and it would be a year or a year and a half. And Shaeeda said, I don't want to wait a year, because a year will turn to a year and a half, and 2 years, and then it will be too late. Oh Shaeeda, that's what he's hoping for. But once again, Bilal's feeling oh so sorry for himself. Nothing I do is good enough for you. And Shaeeda said to production, this whole situation is psychological torture. I'm scared that I may run out of time. I feel as if I'm wasting time. And back on the Brooklyn Bridge, she starts crying. And then Bilal says the following.
Why are you crying?
This is real to me.
Why is it real?
Why are you crying? Are you seriously asking that, Bilal? You know good and well why she's crying. She sees her dreams evaporating in front of her, and she sees that you don't care. And Bilal finishes up by saying, everything I do for her, it just doesn't feel like she's happy. If she has a child, then there's going to be, well, other things that she wants. And if I don't do those, then where will it end? It just doesn't seem good for our marriage. And that's where we end things for this season. So what does the Ebird make from all of this? Well, there's more of the same from Bilal. More stalling, more gaslighting, more double talking, and more word salad. And I genuinely believe there is nothing down for this marriage. Even if they have kids, it will be against Bilal's will. Who wants to bring a child into that situation? Well, I suppose Shaeeda, but I digress. And so the major problems that I see with this relationship are as follows. Bilal loves what Shaeeda represents. I don't think that he loves her. Whenever she's crying or upset, he never tries to actually console her. He acts as if he's just surprised that she's even upset, and he can't work out quite why she's crying. And guys, I genuinely believe anyone that isn't moved by somebody crying in front of them has no real love for that person. The second problem is that Bilal thinks extremely highly of himself. This leads him to believe that he can bamboozle not just Shaeeda but anybody he comes into contact with. He's always doing his, word salad. Just saying things which actually don't mean anything, misconstruing events. If she has a child, she'll want something else. The only thing she's really ever asked you for is a business or help with her business and a child. Neither one of those two things have you done. But Bilal thinks he's so clever, he can trick us all into believing she's a gold digger or she wants things which are unrealistic or unachievable or unfair. Bilal, we see it for what it is. You've agreed to something which you're now virtually reneging on. And another problem is the fact that Bilal thinks not only is she stupid, but we're all stupid. He's always gaslighting her, and he always says she wants everything her own way. And for a while you managed to, keep her quiet and stop her from being really outspoken in terms of what she wants and a child. But now she's gained strength from some of her friends, but also just from time ticking on. And now she actually says to Bilal, I want a child. He suddenly says she wants it all her own way. And he also says, after everything I do for you, he does bullshit things like a helicopter ride or a hotel in New York or a Gucci belt. They're not things that she really wants, Bilal. They're all things which are $200 or $300. It's really not a big deal. That's what happens in the course of a relationship. And please, let us not forget, this is TLC money he's spending. This is joint money he's spending and acting as if it's all his. He seems to think these small gestures are everything, and that she's so stupid and we're all so stupid that we believe he's the perfect man. What he really is the perfect example of a bloody narcissist. The next thing is really very important. And that's unfortunately the way he looks at actually having children. They tie you down. They're really messy around the house. You can't do anything. You can't go on holiday. They're very expensive. All of these things that he said when they wrote down the lists of the pros and cons of having children are all enduring, i.e. they'll never change. So him sitting there and saying, I want a good foundation before we have kids, won't change the fact of how he actually feels about kids. He feels very negatively about the experience. I don't mean actually having the kids himself. Obviously he loves his own kids, but the process and also the younger years of kids. All of those things will not change. And that is now and always will be a major problem. For someone to decide to have kids, you've got to be 110% into it. And in my humble opinion, Bilal's 110% over it. And the final problem is that Bilal's used to hiding behind other people. He's hid behind Shaeeda. When he wants to say something over social media, he makes her post his words and his thoughts and feelings. He hides behind his mother. She says Bilal's head of the family. Bilal's super intelligent. He's used to having the women in his life adore him. And even when he tries to double talk his mum or his sister on the subject of having kids or starting a family, they let him get away with it. So he's used to women letting him get away with absolute crap and word salad and double talking. And now because Shaeeda's holding him to account, he literally doesn't know how to handle it. She married Bilal believing that they would be parents together. Not because she made it up, but because he promised that to her verbally and in writing as part of their prenup. He thought, just like the other women in his life, she'd finally acquiesce to his wants, and now she isn't doing, he just doesn't know what to do. And remember, even when he wanted to discuss the idea of a prenup, he tried to bamboozle Shaeeda, and when she refused to be bamboozled and didn't want to sign, he called in another woman, his ex-wife, and he used her as an attack dog to try and bring Shaeeda to heel. So guys, that's about it. I'm really excited to find out what happens with Bilal and Shaeeda in the tell-all and what the other couples make of watching this season. But there's one thing that I'm very sure of. Bilal does not want kids, and he will try everything to run down Shaeeda's clock. Guys, please let me know what you think in comments, and I'm going to get on now and watch the tell-all and bring you my thought. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. In February, apparently, there's a new season of 90 Day Fiance. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will all be new couples. This season, I've got to say, has been possibly one of the flattest since I've been watching. And I have everything crossed that the new season will give us everything that we used to have. Real couples with real narratives. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.